All right, this will be a continuation of the series that I've been doing for the previous 11 days, raising funds for world domination. So if you want to vote on the specific type of content you'd like to see me focus on, send a super chat. Otherwise, I'm going to continue on working on the block mining simulation game, and I'm going to pick up from where I left off yesterday. So, first, congratulations. For what I committed, I disabled the thing I was working on. So that was the help menu overlay. So the eventual goal will be to make it so that the help menu so the overlay will basically be like a selection menu. So you can, when that's active, then you can like navigate around and request to open something. Aaron Nagy says, "Hello, how's it going?" I think that's all I need to get it to work. So I press escape, and there's our help menu overlay. So I think what I'll do is I'll make like a dedicated class for the help menu, and I can store its internal state. Oh, we got a new channel member. Big welcome to the student tier. Hello from Sri Lanka. How's it going? It's far away. Must be like morning there. Oh, a bunch of comments I can comment on. I wanted to ask because it seems like your Amazon and NVIDIA videos, that your experiences are exactly what I read on Glassdoor about any company. Do you think that's accurate? Yes. So, like, technically, I would say one kind of blind spot is that your manager will actually have a bigger impact on whether you enjoy a company or not, as opposed to the company. So, like, people say a particular company's bad, or you had this experience, that you can kind of say at that company it probably is like that. But if you get a really good manager that you're working under at that company, then you might have a different experience. I did know some other people who had a much better experience at Amazon than me, but obviously lots of other people who probably had even worse experiences. But yeah, I think experiences like that are not uncommon in the, especially like in the upper end. Like if you want to be those high performance software engineers that are making hundreds of thousands per year, and like this, if you go to like Facebook, what was it, level 10 engineer or something, you get like SDE level 10 or whatever. They have all these like made up categories that you can reach. Where you're making like $1 million per year, you could imagine that there's a lot of people get pushed to do a lot of overtime and stuff. And I also think they kind of gatekeep those positions. Like I think that some of those, like the highest ranked positions, exist artificially just to say that they exist. So people can be like, ooh, if I work really hard, I'll make, I could be like that. I could make $1 million per year. Whereas, it may just not be in the cards. Like not everyone's going to be able to reach that position. The next one was proprietary license alert. Quick. Stick it in the restricted isolation containment repo. I need some of that selfish corporate stuff so I can extract. I need to maximize shareholder value of this block mining simulation game. What do I call that? Help menu state. Yo, Robert, how do you feel about certifications versus degrees? People ask that question a lot. I feel like I've answered that a few times. I can't remember if that's a meme. I know there's the meme where people always ask, what does static mean in Java? But yeah, I guess maybe I should use some of these repeated questions as video ideas. Then I can just see my video. Certifications versus degrees. I think for specific places, it may matter a lot. Like the specific example would the most instructive example would be like if you apply for a job at like at a company where you have to like move stuff in an inventory warehouse, and then they might have a thing like a stipulation says you need to have a certification in WMIS symbols or something, where an employment of getting hired is they just need to check a box, say like, yes, you've taken a course in WMIS or something, so that you, like for liability, but they, of course they do all to want you to know the knowledge. Now, when it comes to software development, I know there are specific like government positions where they might want you to have taken some like kind of basic some basic test to make sure that you know some essential things about computer networking or whatever, or security or stuff. So I think there are specific certifications, like for example, a WMIS, if you have a general certified WMIS certification, that's like a specific thing that actually matters to some people, whereas there's a whole industry of making like certifications where like I could make the the Robert Elder software block mining command line certification program or something, and then charge $500 for it, and it's it's just a piece of paper that it's not worth anything to anyone. So that's kind of what I think about this certifications. But and degrees, I mean, degrees are a whole other beast. You when you get a degree, you cover a lot more material. agree. It's nice to work with a manager who backs you up. Yeah, I think it's not just about backing you up. Some managers. The other thing is like managers, they also want to move up the food chain and they want to get promoted and stuff. So one thing that can happen is they'll just try and like push their employees too hard, or they'll or they're just like bad managers. They don't know how to read people and understand people, and all sorts of stuff. Love your coding video. Keep it up. Yeah, it's I think my coding streams are kind of boring, but Dwarf Fortress did it in text mode, so we can too. Actually, there are a surprising number of text mode games on Steam right now. Yeah, I think well, we'll see what happens. Well, this game, it looks super cool. Do I need to learn Java to play it? Nope. Technically, you should be able to just run it on the command line with Java. If you run the precompiled jars, which there's if you check the Git repo in the description, there's some instructions. Let me think. What was I about to do? The government wants you to know Security Plus, for example, but my workplace told me I needed it, but kind of forgot about it. For example, yeah, like I actually don't know much about certifications. I think I probably have no certifications. I know I have a WMIS certification, because that was one of the things I had to do, like first year or something. But I can see a place for them. Like, I think LinkedIn has a whole bunch of like some certification program or something. But it depends. Like, the question is, do employers really care what digital badge certification you got on LinkedIn? But if the workplace recognizes it, or if it's like widely recognized in the industry, and I think a lot of them are. My perspective on them too is more. It's not. I don't think of them more as and maybe I'm not right about this, but it's more about just like certifying that you do know this thing, rather than necessarily for degrees. There's like more of a prestige. You can like kind of hold your chin high and be like, I have a PhD, whereas the certification is just like, yes, we certify that like this person actually knows this thing. It's not like, ooh, look how smart this person is. Software development seems to put more emphasis on degrees. IT work is an alphabet soup for serpents. A+. Yeah, there's some of them, like there's, I know there's a few, like when companies create their own certs, I'm kind of always suspicious of the value. But I know like Amazon has like an Amazon certified cloud security engineer or something like that, and that's one that I almost would consider like getting myself, like just to know it, just because like Amazon's product, like regardless of how intelligent you are and how many algorithms you know, there's specific just like facts and domain knowledge that foot guns and all kinds of gotchas that might exist in something like a cloud service, and having a kind of rubber stamp from that company that offers the cloud service to say like, yes, we have successfully told you all the things about our product that are about how it works and how to actually use it properly. And it's almost like if you went to like work in a machine shop or something, you could probably just show up and start like, using stuff. You could probably just figure it out by yourself with no supervision, but it'd be kind of nice if someone else who like already knew how to use it would just take you through everything and show you like what's dangerous and don't do this, don't do that. I think that is because there is no bachelor's of IT. There's a bachelor's for cybersec. Yeah, of course, it all depends on the institution that you go to. LinkedIn certificates are not valuable. It's not even really anything I've thought about. But like, does anyone have like LinkedIn does have certificates or something, don't they? I've seen these like self-study courses, or you can get a badge or something. I see people posting them sometimes. They have this like ridiculous animations, and but I mean, if any of you know of employers actually thinking about it, then like taking that stuff seriously, then let me know. I'll stand corrected. LinkedIn's kind of a joke in general. Their certs. That property by inheritance, yeah. AWS cloud certs, pretty badass. Almost everyone uses AWS now. Yeah, I mean, it's also like, in that case, it's also, I think it's specifically relevant to, if it's relevant to the company, like I think a LinkedIn certification would be used, like I would trust if you had a certification from LinkedIn on how to manage LinkedIn ad campaigns, because if any of you have ever played around with like advertising and how to like run ad campaigns and do marketing and stuff, it's actually very difficult to like figure out how the platform, how to run ads successfully and profitably. There's a lot of like foot guns and things you can do wrong. So if LinkedIn had a certification course on how to use their own ad platform, that's something where I would actually trust it and put some faith in it, because it's like it's LinkedIn telling you how to use their product correctly, and LinkedIn is the only one I would trust on how to do that. Or you could take their stuff with a grain of salt, because they'll tell you how to spend money on their platform, which is a related thing. Personally, I'm currently in the BS CIA program through WGU, 15 certs, including the CompTIA Big 3, embedded in course load. The final exams are certs and are taken through the org. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not it's certs. Like I said, I don't have any certs other than that WMIS one, but so it's out of my element. But I do recognize that CompTIA. I've seen that before. So by the fact that I've seen it, that probably says something good about it. Pretty sure most LinkedIn certs are multiple choice with no anti-cheat mechanism. Basically a test of Control-CV. Yeah. Learning about smart pointers for job interview seems kind of silly. Coming from C, thoughts? Smart pointers. I actually forget what the definition of a smart pointer is. I spent a lot of time learning C, and I never really made it. I learned, I started programming in C++ first, and then eventually I started trying to write my own C compiler. Smart pointers. Is that a thing in C++? Two streams in one day. Yeah, I gotta keep up. I've been doing my one every day, raising funds for world domination. Pointers that keep track of lifetime, so like unique PTR and shared PTR. Yeah, you know, I never actually really used them. To be honest, there's a lot of features in C++ that I just never really learned. My plan was to master C, and then I at least at one point, I've probably forgotten a lot about it now, or I have forgotten a lot about it. There's a lot of weird stuff in the C programming language. Oops. What are your least favorite parts of C? I don't like the arcane function type syntax. Least favorite parts of C, probably, there's a few things that I think are like really poorly designed. There's a few, I think, critical. One is, I think, actually the preprocessor, and most specifically the inclusion of preprocessor stuff within the standard, within the actual standard. So, and there's a few things actually, like variadic argument lists and stuff. The fact that that's not actually like in the language, it's implemented kind of in a hacky way by like preprocessor stuff is kind of unfortunate. And then also things like the I think, well, you said the function type syntax, yeah, with pointers to function. That gets pretty insane. Honestly, our A2 is the best thing C++ came up with. I'm not familiar with that acronym. My plan was to master C. Well, C is C is a subset of C++, so I figured it was. I'd say I do know it pretty well. There was at least for like C89, I got to a point where I knew most of most of the things in it and some of the weird corners of it. I think he can make an hour-long video on bad parts in C. Yeah, that was always on my to-do list, to write like a blog post about it or make a video or something. My name is Adam. If you're wondering, I want to ask you, next year I'm going to enter my first IT class, but I'm actually looking for a career in computer science. Give me a solution. Give you a solution. I don't know if I can do that. I'm going to enter my first IT class. I'm looking for a career in computer science. I don't know. I guess you can get some. Depends where you're going and stuff, but I guess you can get into the school, and then once you're there, maybe transfer, and you can hopefully claim some credits. What's your new favorite command? It's a good question. If I can get caught up in everything else, I'll make a video on it. RAII, resource acquisition, is it initialization? Stuff like automatic cleanup. Oh yeah. Yeah, stuff like constructors and destructors, and man, that stuff can get difficult to debug if you have like a constructor that calls more constructors, and constructors that call destructors, and they try to put too much into C++. I think if they want to make it better, they should take stuff out and then release a new version of it. Then you don't have to clean up manually like C. Yeah, there's a lot of like, they just keep adding like syntax sugar features and stuff. And there was I think there was even like some new feature they added where the syntax, and like I think it actually made it into the language where the syntax was actually ambiguous, where it wasn't clear. Like nobody thought about how, you could have some a prototype with some kind of squiggly brackets on it and stuff, and it could be interpreted two different ways, as like one is a function or one is a pointer to something. Or unfortunately, CPP can never escape the legacy past. It's not, well, I mean, the next best thing would be that like, it could escape an even worse feature, but they just keep jamming new features into it. When was the last standard of C++ issued? Like Java so far, I guess they are starting to add quite a few, some crazier stuff to Java. But Java, I mean, they keep updating the language and adding stuff to it, but Java has not become like an insane language yet. What are you building? I am building a terminal-based block mining simulation game. I guess I can't that'll take a minute to open. I guess I can just run this. If I don't have any compile errors. So it's a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. $5.95. Mining blocks like in a blockchain? No, like in an actual physical mine where you mine iron ore and things. New favorite command is the help command, as it emphasizes my unfamiliarity with other commands. Yeah, why not the man command? Make sure to watch my video on the man command. All right, let's open the project. And if it shows the README, then I can show you an image. Or if I can at least get it compiled, get is menu active. Oh, that's why, because I forgot to... Oh, we got our first super chatterer of the night. Hope you're doing better. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good tonight. Definitely better than I was back in December. Thank you very much. I would use the man command, but the help command pronounces my existential dread and unfamiliarity better than the man command does. I guess that makes sense. They should implement an add-on so it like every time you run the help command, it screams for help with text to speech. So let's put my network command up that I forgot to do. Seems like YouTube is recommending stream to more people every day. Yeah, it is. It's kind of weird how it seems like it actually seems like it caps the viewers around like 20 to 40 or so, but then like every once in a while it like it's almost like it knows who is very likely to give a super chat, but it's like it's kind of like saving those people, and then it just randomly sends them to the stream. Because for the last few days, the super chat revenue has been, it seems almost consistent. I would kind of expect it to be more random. Why is that image broken? Like the SL command, I have a video on that. Watching a stream while running these never-ending Brazil build commands to build Java projects. Brazil build, is that a? I thought Brazil was an Amazon internal tool. Are you an Amazon employee? Do you think it's possible to power a computer from water? If you have a lot of water, for sure. You just gotta make the water push on something and. Okay. Amazon internal. I actually liked Amazon's internal stuff. I was there in 2013. I liked their. I was told that a lot of people didn't like their build system and deployment system and stuff, but I got the impression it was like Amazon was of any of the companies that I worked at. Amazon was the only one that actually kind of figured out how to build like highly scalable software. But they they really put the grind on their employees. Why is this weird and messed up? Oh, that's the wrong date. I want to do this. There we go. Don't let Bezos catch you watch the stream. Too bad I'm not watching on, or I'm not streaming on Twitch too. Twitch is technically one of Bezos's creations as well. I'm going to make a PC that runs in hamster wheel. I don't think a hamster would generate very much power. You could maybe use it to charge up a capacitor or something, but preferred text editor and why? I like Vim. Vim is my preferred editor of choice. Just easy to navigate. Treadmill powered Raspberry Pi PC. You might be able to generate enough power from a treadmill to power a Raspberry Pi. It's probably like close to that order of magnitude. You definitely need like lots of capacitors to filter it out. when are we starting a new society in Nunavut? So I was looking at some maps, trying to figure out, well, like where can we build a deep water port up on Axel Heiberg Island on the other day. So first we got to get a deep water port built up there, and then we can start shipping stuff in, like bulldozers and construction equipment. So that's step one. So if I could just get one super chat for around, I think if I could get around $12 billion in a super chat, then I think I can probably do it. Okay, someone asked about what the game is. This is the gameplay, and then right now I'm working on building like a menu. So there's nothing here at the moment, but this will eventually have some menu options. Should just strike a deal with Bezos at that point. The question is, what would the deal be? What would he have to gain by giving me the money for that? Imagine paying taxes on that $1 billion super chat. Yeah, that'd be so Google takes 30%, so 12 billion. There's 3 billion plus 3.6 billion. That's quite a bit. What about a more? I've never seen that word before. Thorovian. Did I say that right? Thorovian life without technology. I guess I can't really answer the question. I don't know the definition of that word. Jeff Bezos could be part of world domination. He's my competition. I'm sure Jeff Bezos is probably looking at a world map of Axel Heiberg right now, just thinking he's going to get it before me and steal it. Okay, that builds. Now, what am I going to do? Join the Amish. The Amish are very impressive at building things. You know, we should really put an Amish person in charge of the housing minister. Should be Amish, because then they would just build houses like crazy. Build barns. We could all live in a barn. Jeff Bezos is known to buy competition. He's not going to buy me. Like Henry David Thoreau. You said it right. He lived in a cabin in the woods, away from modern life, in a place called Walden. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, more and more been I'm thinking like, it's not so much that it's not even get away from technology. Personally, I'd like to be closer to more technology. Like I want to spend my time working with technology instead of like fighting landlords and focusing on bureaucracy. Like I gotta do, tax season is coming up soon, so I gotta it's hard enough to make progress on anything else meaningful, but then I'm gonna take a bunch of time off to do taxes, and I'm gonna pay thousands of dollars to get my taxes, even though I spent a lot of time getting them done. It's gonna be like $2,000 again to get my taxes done. And I'm gonna probably pay some. I'll have to pay corporate income tax to the government, despite not even making that much. And the whole, if you just go back 4,000 years and ask how do people survive? People built houses 4,000 years ago, so why can't we do that today? Right now it's basically just artificially illegal for a person to solve their own problems. You can't just go out in the woods and build a place now, even if you own the land. Did you guys hear about India bombing Pakistan? Yes, I did see that. That is potentially a big deal. That could become a thing that could become the next thing that's on the news every single day. Hopefully all that stuff just goes away, and we can just relax and play a terminal-based block mining simulation game instead, inside of a cabin in the woods with some lo-fi chill music playing in the background, and a cat. And some cool magenta lights in the background. Let's see. The next thing I should do. I don't watch news. That's maybe not a bad idea. There's vast inefficiency in house construction, but people want houses to be investments, so no incentive to fix. Yeah, it's there's that, but I think a lot of the inefficiency is not even in the construction and materials and stuff. I've read reports that actually if you denominate the price of a house in gold, the price of a house has actually been decreasing over the last 10 years. And the conclusion there is basically what we're seeing is the debasement of our currency. Currency is just more and more useless. And I don't know. Things were tough. Things were kind of tough, but it's oh, okay, we can figure this out. Back in 2018, 19, but then it seems like COVID really pushed things off a cliff financially, but that was the point where past which a lot of important governments and institutions started making crazy decisions with decades long consequences, and then we just haven't more people are crazy now. Back in the day, people would overthrow government over 0.2% raise in taxes. Yeah, it's I don't know. People also talk about there's going to be a civil war and stuff like that. But when I my experiences in interacting with people trying to fight this rent eviction have taught me that I really don't think. I don't think we're organized enough to even conduct a civil war. There's too many segments to society. When you have a civil war, you have generally two factions, I believe. one or the other. But I don't think we have. I don't think it'd be too difficult to even mobilize enough people to fight a civil war. In Japan, houses aren't investment, so rent is pretty cheap, despite Tokyo being the most densely populated city. Yeah, I saw a thing about that the other day. They said it was like $750 a month or something for rent. Houses should be a liability and an expense, not an investment. Yeah, I mean it's been made artificially scarce, and it's also like condos and stuff. The newest thing is like jacking up insurance fees, and it's just everyone wants their pound of flesh. The government wants more in taxes. The insurance companies want more for insurance. The condo board wants more money for repairs that like get embezzled, and I'm convinced Trump is trying to make a move for world currency, and his USD with the UAE and able to use it as a financial vehicle for purchasing Binance. Yeah, I don't know. People try to relate all the currency stuff to crypto, but I definitely think there is some like currency shenanigans going on behind the scenes. I'd say most of it is like kind of disguised somehow in the bond market. Nobody wants war. Yeah, war is a lot of work. I'm super crazy, but I feel more sane than the people I work with. Where do you work at? If you don't mind saying, or what kind of general industry. We're all way too against each other. I think it's not even just the people are against each other. It's like people talk past each other. Like everyone's watching different news, and they're outraged about something totally different. There's too many people who have it too good in Canada for that. Rent is $1,200 for one bedroom. I guess in Japan probably. Canada has a huge middle class that lives lavishly compared to the rest of the world. They've got no appetite for upheaval. Yeah, there is some of those people, but like is a diminishing group. I just want the Linux desktop tab. Forklift operator. Interesting. Let's see. The next thing I want to do is have a nestable menu. Hello, fellow Kitchenerite. How's it going? Spent 2 hours today chasing a trailing space on a variable. A trailing space on a variable. A variable. There's a. How would a trailing space on a variable break things? Need to go to bed earlier. Windows match script. Oh yeah, batch. I haven't written a batch script since high school. What about computing would you say has gotten significantly better since 2005? A lot of stuff has gotten better. I would say probably the most important one is internet. I grew up on dial-up internet, but now fast internet is ubiquitous. That's a huge deal. How could I specify? The index in a menu. Hardware has gotten better, but software continually cancels it. Yes, that is true. If we wrote software today like it was in 1980s, stuff would be so much faster and more reliable. Modern day GPU made these LLMs possible. Fiber optics crazy speeds compared to 2005, but software doesn't seem all that different. Yeah, a lot of the software now seems worse. Storage is a lot cheaper. Now you can have a phone with 1 terabyte of storage. Yeah, actually, storage is kind of insane. I think that's one of the things that people didn't realize would accelerate so much. We're still using emulators of 70s. Video terminals, because that's still going to be better. Since hardware improved, software just kind of got lazy. We keep gaslighting ourselves that hardware can pick up the slack. Yeah, I guess it probably just boils down to economics. Why not have Gemini 2.5 do this for you? I have yet to experiment with the AI tools yet. I probably will sometime in the future. I've watched. I haven't tried them, but I've been like watching videos of other people trying them, and I don't know. I still think it's just these things they're not good enough to really use. I probably could use it in some of the boilerplate that I do, but I'm still. So I started using IntelliJ just to get used to an actual IDE, and I got the game building in it, but I keep reverting back to Vim because then I always experience issues like stuff not loading, and it's also kind of hard to use because it takes up so much real estate. In SaaS, instead of fixing code, every manager just demands to increase resources instead of resolving code issues. Yeah, I found too, like one big issue is like managers often like don't allow you to finish the product. They always want to like, they'll say like, how long is it going to take to finish this? And they'll give you like half that time. I could never be a tech bro. Why not? It's cool. There's a lot of junk and bloat, and software optimization is a lost art. I don't think LLM is going to improve the situation much. It might if it gets smart enough. Stacks of abstraction developers are putting up with and even embracing is going to make bloat much worse. Yep, we're going to have an artificial intelligence explosion of bloat. The worst part of bloat is like if you like some bloat is like obviously nonsense and repetitive, and to make good quality bloat that's hard to get rid of, it takes intelligence, and artificial intelligence is just smart enough to make like thousands of lines of code that look useful. LLM is perfect for writing this type of boilerplate stuff. It's free. Go try it, man. Just give him your code and ask him to write it. Do it live. I'll look into it. People keep asking me to try stuff. I still have not tried NeoVim, which is another thing people recommend. And then there's some other kind of AI chatbot that someone was recommending to me. And of course, everyone wants me to do everything in Rust, which I will never do. The more every time someone recommends Rust to me, it makes me like Rust less. The thing is, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is it's not even that much boilerplate. Like writing this class was boilerplate, but the real important part is what's going to come next. Just give me Visual Studio and I'm fine. I haven't used that in quite a while. Why no Rust? I've been debating learning it. I don't think I want to put training wheels on as I learn. I've seen a few kind of like honest reviews of it, and like it always seemed a bit the language seemed a bit obtuse to me. And I don't know. Also, the community seems a bit too evangelical. There's a strange cleverness in being able to make complex Ruby Goldberg machines of software that actually do nothing. Yeah, and that's exactly what large language models are good at. As a Rust fan, I can say that this game doesn't need to be rewritten in Rust. Oh, that's good. Two things of Rust I like, but the cult that won't stop talking about it is bad at sales. Yeah, that's what they need to do. They need to hire like a sales guy for Rust to give it a better rap. I had to check out a C library on an API. I had to check out C library of an API on GitHub, and then write the API interface in Python. Yeah, I've heard translation is a language translation is a good application for it. A lot of Rust fans aren't very pragmatic. Have you tried Zig? I have not. More often, as in more often than I used to. Not more than VS 2022. Visual Studio is a chunky IDE. Most IDEs are pretty chunky. That's why I don't use them. It gives me a lot of headache since it saves files in funny format. Instead of UTF-8, I was using probably UTF-16. That's caused some interesting gotchas for me. Grabbing on files when I didn't realize that something was in UTF-16, and I kept opening the file and being like, "What? Why can't you find this? It's right there." There's a blog post enumerating many extreme problems with Zig. How do I comfortably tell people that I can never get a tech job? I don't know. I guess it depends what you mean by that statement. You mean you don't want to, or you're trying to and you're not able to? Let's see. The whole point of the stuff I did yesterday was I wanted to be able to use these nice utility functions for actually writing text. Zig hasn't iterated to 1.0 yet. Zig, was that the name of the language that what's his face? Jonathan Blow was working on. He's working on some language. Was that Zig? Was that what it was? I don't follow that stuff too much. There was some IDE I saw recently. It felt clean. Helix. Been applying for hundreds of places so far in the past year. Got one interview. Of course, it is from Canonical, but they rejected me after 3 interviews with their engineers. The process took 2 months. Oh, that sucks. Well, I mean, at least you're the fact that they rejected you after 3 interviews, yeah, I mean, if it's any consolation for me judging someone by their handle over the internet, if you made it to 3 interviews, that makes me think much more positively about your future than if they rejected you immediately after the first one, because it says they they saw something there. I went through 6 rounds of interviews with Twitter, and they rejected me. Or they said they had no positions for me, which is kind of funny. I know a lot of people in like other industries, like people who I know personally, who've been looking for. Well, they're working somewhere now, but they've been looking to get to a different place for almost 2 years now, and it's difficult. There's not a lot of places hiring. What is the biggest myth in the software dev industry, in your opinion? Biggest myth. I don't know. There's a lot of myths. It depends on like what kind of level you're talking at. You could go many ways with that in like the job market or in how projects are built. And I guess if you watch my how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, a lot of that video went into like my kind of my red pilling of things I thought were true but were not true about the industry. Keep grinding. I know people that took 3 to 5 years to get their foot in the door. Yeah, I mean it's kind of stupid that like why is the world so inefficient? Like why should people have to work so hard after having already worked so hard? I mean, it just seems like the economy is like being designed to basically waste our lives at this point. Like what are we doing here? Like at least 100 years ago, if you want a job, you're just like, hey, I can pick potatoes, and you can get hired in 1 minute. That's how the software industry should be. We should all just walk up to a field and then say, I can code all day long, and then they'll be like, you're hired. Do you have a vehicle? Do I have a vehicle? I do not. It wasn't UTF-8. I think it was Windows 1252. Nice. Oversaturation of CS graduates. Yes, it definitely seems like that. Zig is still very early stages. Zig fixes C macros, which is nice. Show balls? Oh, that's not what I do here. We went years with less than 1% employment in software development, and the pay kept going so high that companies just started going overseas. No way many devs chasing too few jobs. I mean, it's honestly, it's kind of a huge bait and switch. Like the fact that like it didn't have to be this way. It was, and I mean, like it was also like a massive amount of work to, like, you know, get this degree and go down this career path. And now so many people have like wasted so many years on it, and the return they're going to get from it is not there. Like if they wanted to massively outsource it and, like, you know, completely undercut the domestic market, then they could have just like done it a bit slower, maybe, like instead of doing it within like the span of 2 or 3 years, you could like do it over a decade, and that way at least people would have time to prepare and like switch careers and stuff. Okay, what was that compiler? List is there. Where's my project errors? What is your favorite build system for C++? I've only really used just makefiles. I know there's other stuff like CMake and stuff, but I'm not super familiar. I've not used it enough to really give you any critique of it. Can it resolve simple list? Okay, oh, it's in this class. I thought it was in the other one. Okay. Now what I'd like this to do is make, after I save it, fix that, make that go away, but it doesn't. hate CMake. Interesting. Learning CMake is considered self-poisoning? Okay. My perception of it was maybe I was like behind the times. Maybe it was one of those things that like I should be learning, but I don't. Make files are good. They're okay. They're like they're old school. I really wish there was a more general. I think there's a tremendous need. Like actually, if I was going to give advice to someone about like what is the next thing, major contribution to software development, it's not a new language. It's like a I would say dependency management system. Because that's a lot of what a makefile does. And if you can figure out the dependencies, just calling the commands to build stuff is a bit easier. Can't wait for you to get into Fang and then make a day in the life of software engineer video. I already did work at a Fang company. I worked at Amazon 10 years ago. I hated CMake until I learned it properly. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of those tools go. What is this doing? Is it compiling? Did it crash? What's going on? Remember to clear the cache. If I have to remember to clear it, it's not a cache, it's evil. That's a good way to put it. People hate CMake for no reason. Make is awful. Yeah, there's a lot of weird issues with Make. It's an old crufty way of building systems. Huh. This is crashed. I just killed my SSH session. Zig build is way nicer, especially for folks that dislike CMake but want something as powerful as CMake. So you can do cross-platform build without requiring any external tooling. If I recall correctly, Uber switched to using Zig build. Yeah, Uber is I don't know if Uber is big enough that if they use something, I'd suspect that maybe they have the right idea. But then they had a few years ago they had an article about how they were switching from Postgres to MySQL, which I was like, that seems kind of I can't really imagine someone doing that migration direction in this day and age. I figured they'd be all going in the other direction. I miss the old days when debugging meant literally removing moths and other insects from computing internals. I miss the old days. Were you old enough to debug things from those days? Before I go off to bed, Wood's audio today was super quiet. I think. Yeah, it was. Yeah, actually, there's no. I'll have to look into it. I don't know of any way that I can actually increase it, because the preamp is it has 32-bit audio, and there's no way to change the output level. And in OBS, it was already at 100%. I'm not that old, just really hate modern debugging. Yeah, I have a few old punch cards and stuff from the era where you had to deal with the analog world still. Let's see. So this, I think, was happening. It was deadlocking. That's not good if that's deadlocking. I also realized that this function will not allow me to specify the buffer. Yeah, this thing always prints to the default buffer, so I'll probably have to make an overloaded version of this. Once I figure out why it's deadlocking. forget how to do this. Isn't modern debugging technically better? In some ways, but things are more complicated now. Robert used to do a pay-per-view event where he goes out in the woods and fights a bear. A pay-per-view event where I go out in the woods and fight a bear. I don't know. I'd have to train a lot before I'd be able to fight a bear. I don't think I could do that. I can't imagine going over handwritten code and trying to debug it using machines. There was also just less stuff back then. Call me crazy, but I like modern IDEs and nice debuggers. Debuggers are good, except for when debuggers have bugs in them. That's when things are problematic. I hadn't really considered that. Just starting to get sick, staring at a screen all day. It's the same problem. Operation with bugs sounded kind of like neat. I think this was what I did last time. Someone recommended this to me. I can't remember. Did I just run this? Might not relaunch the process from IntelliJ and then let it attach the debugger automatically. Does it? I don't. This is where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing well enough. So we'll run this, and then let it deadlock, and then we'll see where it is, and then look at some stack traces. All right, I think it's doing its thing, and then maybe we could just do this. Okay. Seems like what you're doing is trying to attach to a non-existent debug process. Yeah, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. The thing I just clicked might do something interesting. Let's just take a look at it. I think is it running or compiling? I don't know this thing well enough to know how to do this. It is running, but how do I check this stack trace to where it's deadlocked? I guess there's also multiple threads too, so. Oh. Do you have experience studying in college? What was your study methodology? I'd like some advice, as I am doing study at home coursework, and it can be hard for me to concentrate on it. My strategy was I don't know. Do you have any? Is there any like in-person study? Like is it like a distance ed type thing, or is it is there a physical campus at all? Because I found a decent thing is just to try and find other people who are like studying in your cohort, and then like organize like a study group or something, or like you can do your solo studying, but then that gets monotonous. Fully self-taught course, maybe the occasional meeting via email. Is there any kind of like online chat or forum, or how many other people take the course? Because I find that there's no substitute for just like talking with other people about it, even if it's like, I don't know, over online, or I guess if there's any kind of there are, but it's very, very loose. Everyone is doing different course, different pace. Okay. Yeah, that was one of the big things for me, was just to be able to go to a place and like go to the study lab, and just everyone there was talking about like the latest assignment or whatever. Other than that, I guess you can do of course the self-study, but then just figuring out ways to break it up. Yeah, physically talk in person about it to someone is the ideal thing. But if it's online, I mean, that's going to be really hard. If you can find anyone who's in the same course, like even if you just play like an online video game, and you're like talking about the course and material, and be like, I mean, it almost sounds kind of absurd, but you just play like, your favorite multiplayer video game with that person, and do like a study session over some video games, and then try to recount like some of the stuff you're talking about. I find that's a good way to like. It's of course you're not getting the information as much, but it's a totally different way to expose yourself to the material and focus on it. Because when you just like stare at a sheet of paper, you're kind of just going over it in the same way over and over again, and you're not. If you have another person to bounce it off of, they will focus on and study for a different set of things. And I found that was good, and also breaking that up with regular exercise and eating healthy and all the boring things that people tell you. For me, I prefer self-study. I hate the rigidity of attending classes at a specific time. I can start and stop lessons at my own pace and deep dive, learn more about anything. Yeah, I find it can be, it's more convenient and flexible for you, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff you learn, the reason to learn it is because at some point you will learn that information to coordinate and communicate with other people, and a big part of like applying it is communicating it to other people. So like learning it in a team, learning it in a group with other people, I think is a really big benefit. Hello from Japan. Is there only one student tier of channel membership? There's like student, and then there's like say member above that, and then favorite member. Student is the cheapest one. It's 99 cents a month. It's not even a sheet of paper. It's like pixels on a screen. Yeah. If you can, I would say even if you can find like one other person who's doing it, who'd be willing to like, I don't know, play whatever the popular game is, Age of Empires 2 or whatever, and just chat about the game over like an online thing. Like if you can find someone, depends how big the course is and how many people there are, but you might not find anyone who's like that. But if it's someone who's like around the same period as you, like you won't necessarily like learn the course material that great, but like it's very easy to just play video games, or it's very easy to like have a laid back conversation with someone for a long time, rather than like say, okay, I'm going to study for 30 minutes. It's just like mind numbing, and the time goes a lot slower. I've been a student member for almost a year. Could you link to the upgrade page? I think it's I think if you go to my channel, there's like a actually, you know what? I don't even know how to upgrade. Yeah, it's probably, if you go to my page, there's probably something with like the join button or like upgrade or something. Now I still haven't figured out how to debug. I did debug in the past. Restart debug. Console. Let me think. I'm starting to space out. I gotta go to bed earlier. Okay, that's not running. I don't think I want that running. Oh, you know what? That's on the remote machine. if I do this? Is it doing stuff? I think I shall pollute a river. TTY. TTYL. See you later. So it's connected to something. But how do I step or do anything? Check for the upgrade page. I'm not actually sure. I'm sure there's probably manage memberships under UT setting. I would assume it's probably on. It's probably something like on my page or something, but actually, if you want, you can just stay a channel member on student forever and forget about it. And then I'll have infinite 99 cents a month forever. That would be the goal. If I can get 1,000 people to give 99 cents a month, then I'll be rich. What's your opinion on ugliest programming language? I mean, visually and functionally, my vote would be Objective-C. I've never programmed Objective-C, actually. Ugliest language. Actually, I know like PostScript is pretty. I guess I don't know if it's ugly, but it's just PostScript is like very unfamiliar to me, and it's like it's meant for like document printing and stuff. So I think it'd be a high learning curve to learn PostScript. I just want this debug to work. I think it's actually running, but I don't know what it's doing. It's not debugging anything. So if I kill that and then go back here and do I guess that's debug sometimes has different start parameters than normal run. Yeah, I used this in a previous stream. Someone gave this command to me. And it worked then. I watched a 2-minute crash course on BrainBuck, and yeah, I mean, that language was designed specifically to be like as unreadable as possible. I'll figure something out. I need to call BMO to set up my international address. For now, I can't use my credit card online outside of what has already been established. So the super chat failed. That's all right. You're already a 6-month channel member. That puts you in the elite category. Let me think. Maybe it's like a bunch of stuck processes. So that's not running. Now if I do the following, if I click this, it says unable to open debug report. That makes sense. So then I run this. And then I do this, it says connected. So that means it's probably doing what I want. But there's no stepping. In the corner of the room at a party thinking they don't know, and I'm an elite member of Robert Elder Software. Yep. That'll be the next meme. Now finally I can figure out how to debug. Was there some thing I clicked? Attach. Could it be that? That might be. Oh, I think I might have done that. Oh, nice. Game dev Chad sends $20. Python is pretty ugly, if you ask me. The sooner it goes away, the better. Such a shame it's so popular with AI. Python is an interesting language. I really think Python was like very close to being like really amazing. There's just a few like oddities of Python that I think like the whole sorry, I didn't understand your responses because your tabs were not spaced properly. Yeah, that's a pretty annoying foot gun, the whole white space in it, indentation sensitivity. I mean, I guess the whole idea with Python is it's supposed to be a low fidelity language, and that it means you have to write less to do something, and it's good. It's good for like low fidelity prototyping, but the main reason it's popular is because everyone else uses it. So I have my issues with Python, but visually I think it's very readable. It can be a bit more terse. Honestly, I really don't like Python for larger projects because like it's so difficult to tell what an object or a type is. Easily handled with a linter. I guess so, but honestly, I don't think I've used linters that much for Python. One of the reasons it's actually just so useful is you can just open it in like a blank, text file or Vim or something with no plugins, or on a new machine you can just start typing. But I guess if you daily drive it a lot, I remember in the newest versions of Python there's a feature. I heard about a feature like gradual typing, where you could there's an option to specify types on things, but it was but then I found out later it was just like a suggestion, and it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe there's some plan or something in the future to make it to have like a linter where you can actually enforce these types. But I'm not sure how that's coming along. Let's see. I am not sure what to do next. I'm a Helix user, so it's super simple to turn on these tools. It's not config hell like Vim or NeoVim. Helix. I've heard that at least a few times now. I guess that's another IDE that maybe I'll have to look into. That's one of those another one of those interesting tidbits from streaming. You actually like people actually tell you what's the latest thing. I learned all this knowledge. This knowledge is forced upon me. I mean, I check Hacker News quite a bit, and some. I try to stay up to date with programming stuff, but I have blind spots, and I still can't figure out how to debug. think. Transition from Vim Tmux GNOME terminal to Helix, ZellaJ, Alacrity. I always use the classics as they are. Core utils, but damn is the new setup. A holy trinity in comparison. Yeah, core utils is it's one of those things like people. In some ways, a lot of those core utils commands I covered are like useless and antiquated, but at the same time, there'll be a need to go back and learn those for whatever reason for a long time, just because they're so ubiquitous. I'll probably stick with assume Helix is like a graphical interface. I'll probably stick with mostly terminal stuff, if possible. Just so much less memory required. Now let's see. The problem that I guess I have here is probably a deadlock. Still, I don't think that should deadlock. Okay, I really just need to figure out how do you get the debugger working. That's all I copied down. Python amounts to a bash replacement in my worldview, and problems and performs like one. Could have done much better. It is my kind of prototyping is I'll start off in bash and then transition something to Python. But Python for like the scientific computing world, for like machine learning prototyping and stuff, Python is kind of like indispensable. I don't think there's any competitors. Maybe like R or something. I think it makes sense. Python performance is trash. I like it for quick, dirty scripts since it's very easy to write functional code. Yeah, it's definitely a prototyping language. I hate Ubuntu. Why? I like it. Honestly, I would have taken it more seriously, were it not for the tab space stuff. Yeah, that is kind of a pretty ridiculous thing. But I guess without like terminating braces, like the whole idea was to make it terse. So without like terminating braces to terminate scope, there's no other way to like signal that your if block is done, other than to have like some kind of character. They're all CLI tools. Helix is like Vim. Okay. Similar engines and such to Vim. However, they are ideas from Cocoon, like piping to core utils. It's a super fast fuzzy finder for commands. Mojo. Let's run 5+ indents. Maybe time to migrate away from Python. The worst is when you think that you're on one indent or one or two, but there's actually a sneaky space in there. Okay, so I think this is the thing that should actually work. I'm pretty sure it was remote JVM debug. That should be the same thing, but maybe if I do it from here. Run another configuration, single player block kind. All right, let's try that. It's had it connected before it's done this thing, though. I'll have to go back and check the stream, maybe. Connected to target. Oh, it's doing stuff. Error stack trace is turned on. Attaching agents, but still no stepping or inspection. Strange. Okay, I know I've done this. I did this exact thing in a past stream, so I'll just go back and watch what's in the stream. That's one other advantage of streaming your development. Or some evil person posted a Python script online that uses spaces instead of tabs. Yeah, actually that made me think there's probably like a whole class of like Unicode spaces and stuff that you could put, or like weird things to like, you know, even delete characters, hide characters. Oh my, quick and dirty. AI coding is in C#. Never coded in C# before. Quick and dirty is often the best way to learn stuff. Yeah, that's definitely true. It's whatever you can do to tighten the feedback loop, which is why I'm trying to figure out this stupid debugging thing. If I could get that working, then I'll... what I kind of suspect is happening is... Well, I mean, I looked at my code, and I think this is the first time I'm using this printing function, the console writer thread, because eventually it puts a piece of work into the queue. But if that blocks it for any reason, then it won't be able to print. But it may be something else stupid, like I'm recursively calling a function by its or something. I did that last night. So if I just do this, so that works. And that does not work because it's deadlocked. So that one line of trying to print something is my issue. I'll have to go back and look at what I did to figure out how to look at this with the debugger. But yeah, I may call it a night. I gotta start going to bed earlier too. It's already past midnight. All right, I'll probably be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for the super chats and the channel members. Have a good night.